पढ़ाई या फिर टीवी या फिर टाइम पास जो भी है.
Okay, that means आपका best sport sleeping है. Hmm.
Yes sir.
Hmm. Are you a Gemini?
No, Sagittarius.
Okay, that means Sagittarius are also lazy. Anyways,
I
so
think so.
you don't think so? You think so?
I think so because I am so lazy.
You're so lazy. That means Sagittarians are lazy. Okay. Anyways, Amar, what do you do after
Yes,
after the class?
sir. I mean, like in the morning, sometimes like we run a wedding venue, so मैं वहाँ चले जाता हूँ.
वहाँ कहाँ चले जाते बोले सुनाई नहीं पड़ा.
एक वेडिंग वेन्यू है सर हमारा, मैं वहाँ आ जाता हूँ.
What venue you said?
वेडिंग वेन्यू है.
Wedding.
वेडिंग वेन्यू.
Wedding venue. Okay.
हाँ.
You
मैं
administer
वहाँ
that. Like, it's your site.
हाँ.
Okay.
So
You rent it out.
थोड़ा देर वहाँ रहता हूँ. What sir?
You rent it out for
वहाँ
people.
रहता हूँ. Yes sir.
Okay. Where is it exactly?
Near पार्डी. I mean जो ताजबाग का एरिया है उस साइड.
अच्छा. अच्छा. It's near to Digori or what?
हाँ. जो डिगोरी का फ्लाईओवर है उस साइड.
Okay. काफी दूर है मतलब.
हाँ. So like दूर है तो आने जाने में आधा घंटा लग जाता है. Then I go back to my place and then कभी रेस्ट कर लेता हूँ. Then
सभी रेस्ट ही करते हैं. हम रेस्ट ही तो कर रहे हैं पिछले दोस्त.
ना सर मैं नहीं करता हूँ.
Okay, that's
लाइक
good.
रेयरली करता हूँ मैं.
Let me take this call.
Yes sir.
अमर, can you tell me कहाँ तक पढ़ा के हुआ है?
मुझे नहीं पता.
हाँ बोलिए.
Sir, I was actually absent in previous classes, so I don't know where up to completed the syllabus.
So that's not a problem at all because we have the recorded classes. They are there on the Teachment and as well as on the YouTube channel also. If you are missing the class, you can go to the YouTube channel of mine and there you can attend the classes which you have missed. Actually, what we do in class, अभी तक आप लोग स्कूल में थे, तो अभी चीज सब चीजें आपको पढ़ाई जाती थी कि a plus a, this is apple that comes from a for apple or b for boy, whatever. तो ये हमें पढ़ाया जाता था, हमें सिखाया जाता था, हमें रटवाया जाता था. We used to mark them up and later we have started understanding what apple is like, right? But all elementary knowledge जो था आपको स्कूलिंग में मिल चुकी है. You have already been abreast with the elementary knowledge that is required for doing graduation. And graduation ऐसा है कि in graduation what we are not called teachers, we are called lecturers. There is a little difference. I think I have already told you all about this, what a lecturer is, and it's not lecture. Many of people say it lecture. It's not lecture, it's lecturer. Okay, so the one who delivers lecture is called lecturer. That means now he is not going to teach you anything. He is going to lecture about something. He is going to tell you something about some of the topics which are there in your syllabus, right? And after some time of serving as a lecturer, we become reader. Reader means the one who is now into reading. Into reading means that means he is into some kind of research, which could be a lab oriented or a academic oriented. So he becomes, now he studies a lot about the topic in which he is interested in, and then then he becomes professor. Professor means the one who professes beyond books. He does not need a book to tell you something. He is beyond books. He himself is a book. So it's जो डॉक्टरेट की डिग्री मिलती है प्रोफेसर बनते हैं, एक्चुअली इट्स बीन कंपलसरी to have a doctorate degree if you want to be a professor. But हमारी एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, हमारी हायर एजुकेशन पॉलिसीज में, या कहना चाहिए रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस में, they keep on changing and they keep on putting up some amendments, and then the things have been changed and they have been eased out for the candidates who are already in the teaching profession. But anyways, so nowadays in medical college and engineering colleges, they were not called lecturers or readers. So they have started, they used to call themselves as assistant professor, associate professor and professor. So the professor word has been started from the time of your appointment, but actually it is lecturer, the one who is called assistant professor in medical college, and the reader, the one who is called as associate professor, and the professor is a professor. And I tell you, professor is the highest the level of designation we achieve. Beyond that, there's nothing. After that, it becomes, the graph becomes stagnant. Anyways, so let us, if you all are interested, can we discuss about the living cell? The cell, the living cell, the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes. You all know what prokaryotes mean. Prokaryotes mean they are with primitive type of nucleus they have, and the eukaryotes are, U means new, the new type of nucleus that is there, and they are called eukaryotes. So we animal cells, but the cells which we animals have are usually eukaryotes, and the prokaryotes are the ones which are usually bacteria and other कौन सा classification किसी को मालूम है? Animal classification. Anybody knows about the animal classification?
Monera protista, fungi, plant animal या animals वाला?
Yes, of course. Animal kingdom ना. तो वो बैक्टीरिया, मोनेरा, वो प्रोटिस्टा जो हैं, ये सब के शुरुआती की जो सेल्स थे, प्रिमिटिव एनिमल्स जो थे, ये सब कुछ यूनिसेलुलर थे, बाद में दे हैव टर्न्ड इनटू मल्टीसेलुलर आल्सो. मल्टीसेलुलर जैसे टर्न हुए तो हमने उनको मेटाजोन बुलाना शुरू किया, और कंप्लीट जोआ. मेटा मींस कंप्लीट, जोआ मींस एनिमल. इट्स अ कंप्लीट एनिमल when their group of cells are there for their living and the work of their living, the the metabolism or the functions which they perform. When it was a unicellular, the single cell used to perform all the functions. But when it becomes metazoan or the multicellular, it starts distributing its work. There was a division of labor, there was a division of function in all the types of cells which they have gathered together as a group and as an animal. So anyways, so can we discuss something which you all know through the classes or through your schooling or through your know-how till date about the prokaryotes, eukaryotes, and the cell organelles and the cell body cell cycle, body cell theory? Can we all discuss? I'll put up a question and you all can discuss, and during discussion you may put your cameras on and you can discuss. And जैसे मैंने से हाथ खड़ा किया, वैसे ही जब कैमरा ऑन करते तो हाथ खड़ा कर दीजिए, then you can speak up. So shall we begin? We will not be able to divide the whole group in groups, but you can say when your turn comes, I'll be telling something about it, or I'll be against the concept, or I'll be for the concept. And I have told you about that concept also. The eukaryotes are nothing but association, a symbiotic association of prokaryotes and the advanced prokaryote, that is eukaryote. So eukaryote has got prokaryote in itself in the form of mitochondria. Have you, any one of you have, has anyone gone through this concept, the material which I have posted, and किसी ने देखा है इस चीज को, किसी ने पढ़ने की कोशिश की?
जो आपने लिंक भेजा है उस पे क्लिक करने के बाद वीडियो या फिर पेज ऑन नहीं होता.
ऑन नहीं होता?
नो सर, आई एम फेसिंग दैट प्रॉब्लम.
अच्छा, एक्चुअली वो मैंने शायद आप लोगों को बताया कि नहीं मालूम नहीं, एक साइंस मैगजीन है जिसका नाम है नेचर, इफ इट ऑल यू ऑल नो. नेचर इज लाइक इट्स अ साइंस मैगजीन, यू कैन कॉल इट एज अ साइंटिफिक जर्नल टू, एंड यू ऑल मस्ट बी नोइंग व्हाट अ जर्नल इज. आपको मालूम है जर्नल क्या होता है?
जहाँ अलग अलग लोगों के वर्क पब्लिश होते हैं.
तो मैगजीन भी है, हमारी मैगजीन्स भी आती हैं, प्रिंट मीडिया भी है, न्यूज़पेपर्स हैं. तो यहाँ पे भी तो अलग अलग लोगों के आर्टिकल्स, अलग अलग लोगों के काम, अलग अलग लोगों के इंफॉर्मेशन, अलग अलग लोगों के व्यूज पब्लिश होते हैं. What exactly all in the print media, how exactly, how, on which basis you would discriminate a particular print as journal?
जो सर्टिफाई हो चुका हो.
What does that mean, certify हो चुका हो?
जैसे आपने बताया था कि लास्ट टाइम जब नोबेल प्राइज वगैरह मिलता है तो उसके पहले बहुत सारा उसके ऊपर लोग आते देखने के लिए कि जो है काम वो बराबर है या नहीं है.
Okay,
तो
so
जब तक वो चीज सर्टिफाई ना हो जाए कि इन्होंने जो आर्टिकल दिया है तब तक उसे जनरल नहीं प्रिंट.
तो यानी कि जिनको नोबेल मिला है उनके ही काम जर्नल में आते हैं, बाकी लोगों के काम जर्नल में नहीं आते?
ना, मैं एग्जांपल दे रहा हूँ कि जब तक कोई काम सर्टिफाई नहीं हो जाता तब तक के शायद जर्नल में प्रिंट हो जाता.
अच्छा, there is no certificate sort of thing, but it is kind of an, you know, endorsement by the experts. You know, when I suppose, if I exactly like at the first place, I would like to tell what journal is like. Journal is a print publication, print media publication, which tells you that something has been done as per some standards, and that report has been sent to the publisher to get it published. And the magazine which holds such kind of work with a standard methodology and a standard with some standards, and it's been written in a manuscript form, and that is been published in print. So whenever, so suppose जैसे आपके ये क्लास में आते हैं आप लोग, अभी तो आते नहीं है, थ्योरी होती है, प्रैक्टिकल्स होते हैं. तो प्रैक्टिकल्स के रिकॉर्ड जो होता है, रिकॉर्ड बुक जिसको हम कहते हैं, प्रैक्टिकल बुक या प्रैक्टिकल रिकॉर्ड कहते हैं, क्या आपको मालूम है उसे कुछ कुछ यूनिवर्सिटीज में जर्नल बोला जाता है? पता नहीं आपने सुना है या नहीं सुना. तो जर्नल इसीलिए कहा जाता है बिकॉज यू परफॉर्म एन एक्सपेरिमेंट and you write that experiment in the form of in a particular format. Like there is an aim of the experiment, there is a principle behind that experiment, there are materials which are required, methods, and the types of protocol you are following. So the principle behind the protocol and the observations, and what do you conclude, what do you result out of those observations, what do you infer out of those observations, and if at all that's been already done, is there any kind of standard or the normal value for the experiment you had performed. So all these things, and if at all there are any, if there are any precautions to be taken while performing the experiment, the precautions are also mentioned. So that way, when you make your experiment in a manuscript form, and if that form is published in a magazine, that magazine will be called as journal. So every scientific research work, it's not necessary you have to perform in your lab only. It can be a survey type of work also. You can go to many people and ask few questions, and you can compile those answers in one format, in one observation table, and then you can infer, you can conclude something out of those observations. That is called result. So, and before starting the work, sometimes you presume, you assume that this would happen. Let me check whether it's happening or not. Suppose if I say, if these index finger and ring finger, if they are of the same height or not, the gene responsible for making the finger see. In my left hand, you could see that the index finger is a little smaller than the ring finger, and this is controlled by one pair of gene, one pair of alleles. And अभी जैसे मैंने उल्टा कर दिया हाथ, तो देखेंगे आप little index finger लंबा दिख रहा है, but it has to be placed in a particular manner. When it is placed in a particular manner, then only you can measure the fingers, and you could say index finger is either longer than ring finger or it's smaller than ring finger. That is the only two conditions. So when you try surveying the people in Nagpur or in your vicinity, then you would say, let us assume that males are having index finger longer than in ring finger in males. So then you will start observing the hands of the fingers of the people around you in your vicinity, and you make a note of it. You make those observations under a table. You tabulate them, and after that you would consider, out of 100 such observations, you could find among 95% people having the index finger longer than ring finger. That is an observation. This is not a lab experiment, but this is a survey type of experiment. So even these things, when they are published in the format of a manuscript, in a typed format, these magazines are called journals. So Nature is a scientific, but Nature is called scientific magazine, and scientific journal too, it's called journal too, because even the experiments and the research activities are also published. But Nature is such a journal which publishes the articles related to all the sciences, all the streams of sciences, physics, chemistry, math, statistics, everything under the sky which has some science in it, that will be published. So, and there are particular journals, there are specific magazines which say we would be publishing only something related to heart. So they may name their magazine as cardiac research, or they may say it's cardiology, or they can say the heart physiology. Like that, they can name the scientific magazine, and they would publish only those research work which are related to heart. That way, we have gotten n number of reasons all over the world which are published through different journals. So a journal is usually a magazine which usually publishes the scientific articles, not articles only, the scientific articles based on some kind of research activity, some kind of research work. Okay. So वो जो नेचर है, नेचर के साइट पे आप जा सकते हैं, नेचर टाइप करेंगे तो आपको मिल जाएगा, और नेचर के साइट पे ये उनके रिसोर्सेज हैं, इंटरनेट रिसोर्सेज या सब्जेक्ट रिसोर्सेज. तो वो रिसोर्सेज के सेक्शन में जाके you could see that, and you would have told me that this link is not working, because it was working over here, and उसमें से एक छोटा सा वीडियो भी है, and there was a written text also. So Nature is a big journal, big scientific magazine which publishes, and which has got very much popularity and importance too, because everyone checks these articles from these magazines, these journals. And जैसे कि भी अमर ने कहा था कि कुछ तो सर्टिफिकेशन होगा, तो सर्टिफिकेशन is not like that. When I try to publish my article or my research work in such kind of a journal, the journal takes it up, it calls for the paper, and that manuscript is been given to somebody who is already in the expert level, who's already an expert. So my work is being sent to that person, and that person would go through it, and he would say, yes, okay, this is something new, this is something significant, this is something important result which have been concluded by these observations. So on that basis, they would comment on it, and those comments will be given back to the publisher, and publisher have got a team who would analyze the comments which have been made upon. So, and if at all the expert says this article has some lacunae, some pitfalls. lacunae pitfalls समझते हो, कमियां, drawbacks हैं, तो he can mention the drawbacks also. तो वो जो faulty चीजें हैं, या फिर कहना चाहिए कि the methodology which he has adopted is not up to the mark, it's not standard, some standard thing should be there, or the data should be statistically analyzed. So there are so many things on which the expert would comment, and if it have got some lacunae or pitfalls or the drawbacks in the work, those comments would be passed on to the author again, like me. If I have submitted one article to be published, so those comments will be passed on to me. Then I would, going through after those comments, I would make my publication, my written matter in a better form. It will improve its readability, its presentation, and that improved version of my manuscript will now be considered for publication. If at all I do, I clarify those points, I clarify those comments which have been made by the experts. So that way, every article published in a research journal are reviewed by experts. They have been read off, and they have been gone through by these experts. That's why the journals which engage such experts to review the articles which are coming for the publication, such journals are called peer-reviewed journals. Peer means expert. The expert-reviewed journals. So now the research journals are also into different categories. Those journals which take the assistance of experts, they are called peer-reviewed journals. So they might get, the papers usually do not get published easily. It takes time. The experts reject many a times because of the type of, see, अब एक simple सा example देता हूँ मैं आपको यदि बताया जाए कि प्याज काटना है, ठीक है, तो आप सिंपली लेंगे, बोलेंगे कि आप लिख देंगे कि प्याज लिया हमने और उसका जो रूट वाला पोर्शन था उसको कट किया, फिर उसका जो अदर टिप था उस जहाँ से शूट निकलता उसको भी कट किया, एंड देन वी हैड मेड हाफ ऑफ इट एंड देन पील्ड ऑफ द आउटर लेयर, लिख दिया. क्या हम हमेशा ऐसे ही बताते हैं किसी को? नहीं बताते. हमारे अपने तरीके हैं. हम बोलते हैं भैया उसके ऊपर के छिलके को निकाल दीजिए और उसके टुकड़े कर लीजिए, या खड़े खड़े या फिर आड़े में. But we would not mention how to cut, what instrument to be taken. We all consider चाकू लिया, काट लिया. But what kind of चाकू is good for cutting an onion? That we do not mention, right? या वो teeth जो serrated knife होती है, teeth रहते हैं उसमें छोटे छोटे छोटे. Those type of knife are good for cutting, onions. But we don't mention it. Whenever we pass it on this information to somebody else, we don't mention these things. So in a scientific way, you need to mention what kind of knife you should take. Okay, if at all the knife is there, whether it is serrated or not, whether it is toothed or not. So that way, so when you come, these experts, they comment on like that. He has not mentioned what type of knife should be taken for cutting this. I have taken a very simple example, but it's not like that. In your experiments also, they try to take the pitfalls, try to take the lacunae, try to take the drawbacks, try to pick up the drawbacks of your work, and they comment, and those comments are like passed on to us to improve our work. So ये उसके basis पे अब there is an organization in, of course ये मैं final year वालों को बताता हूँ, लेकिन मैं आप लोगों को आज ही बता रहा हूँ इस चीज को. I hope you all have sufficient time to be in class.
Yes, sir.
मतलब आगे कोई दूसरी क्लास वास तो नहीं है ना?
No, sir.
No, sir.
नहीं, ज्यादा नहीं बैठेंगे अपन, ऐसे 2 शाम तक नहीं बातें करते बैठेंगे, but still we'll take 5-10 minutes here and there. So there is an organization which now takes care of what, which journal is publishing what? Which journal is publishing what type of manuscripts, what type of work? Though it is related to heart, that magazine is related, that journal is related to heart research. So everything which is related to heart will be submitted for publication, and that will be peer reviewed, and then it will be published in the journal. So the articles are published in those journals. So there is an organization which takes care of this. Okay, what type of article are published in that particular journal? Suppose this is an heart research journal, and I have submitted one article. Like that, there are other 9 people also submitted. So there are 10 articles compiled and published in one issue of that heart research journal. So now that organization keeps a track. Okay, Mr. Suresh has published one. Mr. Amar Kurpare has published one. Falguni has published one. There are 3 publications from India, Nagpur, who had tried publishing one paper in this heart research journal. So that organization keeps a track. Suresh has published one, and now it adds up to my account. You must be knowing there is one app of Google which is called Google Scholar. The Google Scholar also maintains such kind of activity. It also keeps an eye on where it is published, what it is published, and how much of. And now one more thing it keeps a track of, like if I have published one and Amar has published one and Faguni has published one, but out of these 3 publications, Faguni's publication was referred by many people, and Suresh's publication was not at all referred by anyone. So if that comes, so that agency keeps a track how many people have referred Falguni's paper. So what happens? It keeps a track. How would you know that Falguni's paper has been referred? Because at the end of your research article, you will put a list of authors, list of publications which you have referred. The Falguni must have referred few articles for making that manuscript. She would mention those articles at the end of her publication, at the end of her write-up. The same way, when Falguni's work will be used by some other people, like 10-15 people across the world, and they have mentioned her research, this particular paper's work, in their own work to be published. तो जब वो अपने काम में, आपके उनके राइटअप में जब फाल्गुनी का नाम अपने लिस्ट में डालते हैं, तो that is considered as if your work has been read. ऐसे तो मैं मान लीजिए मैं रिसर्च कर ही नहीं रहा हूँ, मैंने फाल्गुनी का पेपर पढ़ा, but Falguni's work is a bit different, so I don't get into that, so I don't prefer in any of my work. But हम एक ही जर्नल में पब्लिश करें तो there are chances कि हम एक ही काम से रिलेटेड हैं, तो I might include her name in any of my works in future. But what happens कि like जैसे फाल्गुनी के काम को किसी 10 लोगों ने 15 लोगों ने अपने अपने कामों में किसी दूसरे जर्नल में पब्लिश किया होगा, but they must have referred, they must have put the publication's name. So every person, whosoever is publishing some work in some journal, he has to mention whose work he has referred, which article he has referred, and that article in which journal it has been published. So there is a format of writing those things: author's name, the article name, then publication, then page numbers, like that. There are formats you will come to know as you grow up in your academics. So that way it's been mentioned. So now we get to know, that agency comes to know, okay, there are 15 other people after Falguni's article, and they have mentioned Falguni's this particular article in their work. So they will be giving some score to it, some score. Like 15 people have referred, so Falguni will be given 15 score, 1 for each reference. And I have got no references at all, so I will not be awarded 0, but I will not be given any score. And if Amar has got 5 references, so Amar's article will be given 5 score. So if at all the journal has published only 3 articles, one is of Suresh, one is of Amar, and one is of Falguni, so what will happen? That the journal will have how many references? 5 of Amar and 15 of Falguni. Now the journal gets 20 references in total. right? In total, it gets 20 references of the articles which have been published in its own journal, right? So that way, Falguni will have 15 score, Amar will have 5 score, I will have no score at that time. But in future, I might have. So this is maintained by that agency. Such kind of agencies are there. It's called Scopius. Scopus नाम का एक agency है. Crossword नाम का एक agency है. And there are many and like few काफी सारे ऐसे एजेंसीज है जो काम थे. एक ISO करके एक हुआ करता था और आई एम फॉरगेटिंग. सो ऐसे वो सभी ट्रैक रखते हैं एंड दैट मीन्स उस जर्नल के कितने रेफरेंसेस किए गए उसको हम बोलते हैं दैट रेफरेंसिंग इज कॉल्ड साइटिंग. CITE या CITING. Citing means you have mentioned that particular work in your own work at the end of the writer. So that way citing करते हैं तो citing के हर साइट का एक नंबर स्कोर करते हैं एंड दे गिव यू एंड वो नंबर एक्यूमुलेट होता जाएगा. जैसा फाल्गुनी का 15 हो गया तो नाउ it is called citation index. It's not called citation index. The correct pronunciation is citation index. It is of course site का citation index है लेकिन हम उसको pronounce करते हैं तो उसको हम citation बोलते हैं. CITATION citation index. यानी फाल्गुनी का citation index 15 हो जाएगा एंड अमर का citation index 5 हो जाएगा. मेरा कुछ नहीं है तो मेरा citation index बनेगा ही नहीं. 0 नहीं लिखा जाता यूजुअली, नहीं है, नो citation index. So that way you know और जर्नल का ओवरऑल देखा जाए तो जर्नल का citation index जो है 20 है ना. तो इस प्रकार से this citation index tells you कि what kind of work you are doing. If your work is more popular, more significant, more important, your work will be referred by many people across the world. तो आपके इंडेक्स बढ़ते जाते हैं. So the person he is having more the citation index will be called more authentic work or more useful work he is doing. That's why it's been referred. यदि आपने ऐसे ही कुछ कह दिया है कि नागपुर के zoology डिपार्टमेंट के सामने की मिट्टी का कॉन्सेंट मिट्टी में ये चीजें पाई जाती हैं, ठीक है भाई पाई जाती होंगी, nobody refers it. यदि कोई नागपुर यूनिवर्सिटी के अम्बेडकर कॉलेज के डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ जूलॉजी के सामने की मिट्टी पे ही कोई दूसरा काम करेगा तब हो सकता है कि हमारे पेपर को रिफर करे. जब तक कोई करेगा नहीं तो वो उसकी इंपॉर्टेंस बढ़ेगी नहीं, उसको सिटेशन मिलेगा नहीं, उसको साइटिंग स्कोर मिलेगा नहीं. दैट मीन्स हमारा रिसर्च एक्टिविटी है, जरूर है, बट इट डज नॉट कैरी दैट इंपॉर्टेंस कि लोग उसको रिफर करें, लोग उसको समझे. तो ये सब चीज सिटेशन इंडेक्स के बारे में समझ में आया. अब इसके बाद इसके अलावा एक चीज और कैलकुलेट की जाती है उस जर्नल के लिए. उस जर्नल के लिए मतलब जिस जर्नल ने 3 पेपर सबमिट हुए पब्लिश किए उसमें से 15 फाल्गुनी के, 5 अमर के और मेरे 0, इस प्रकार से टोटल 20 आए. 20 को यदि जितना टोटल साइटेशन है उसको हम उसके रिसर्च आर्टिकल्स पे जितने पब्लिश किया उससे डिवाइड कर दें, यानी 3 आर्टिकल आए थे. So 20 divided by 3, that is how much? 6.66, right? 6.66 का स्कोर आया इसका. अब ये क्या दिखाता है? This shows कि हर 6.66 या फिर हर 1000 में से 666 people are referring these journals per article. हर आर्टिकल को कम से कम 1000 में से 666 लोग पढ़ते हैं और रिफर करते हैं. दिस शोज कि जर्नल कितना अच्छे आर्टिकल्स पब्लिश करता है. एंड दिस स्कोरिंग इज कॉल्ड इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर. दैट मीन्स द इम्पैक्ट द जर्नल इज पुटिंग इन द साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी. हमारे साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी में उसका इम्पैक्ट कितना है उस जर्नल का, राइट? एंड सिटेशन इंडेक्स विल शो यू how good work you are publishing. Publishing ही एक ऐसा जरिया है जो आप बताते हो कि आप कुछ रिसर्च एक्टिविटी कर रहे हो. आप बोलोगे मैं बहुत कुछ सोचता हूं, मैं बहुत कुछ करता हूं, but you do not have any publication, so I am not recognized as a research worker in science fraternity, right? तो ये चीजें हैं, इन चीजों को आप लोग को आगे समझ में आएगा. ऑफ कोर्स आज नहीं तो कल आपको समझना है. I tell you, the other day, a few days back, I was talking to one of my schoolmates. अब उनकी बच्ची अभी बीएससी हो गई है. She did biochemistry BSc from Delhi University. तो उसका CGPA स्कोर भी बहुत अच्छा है, 3 में 10 आए हैं, 1 में 9 आया है. दैट मीन्स ऑन एवरेज उसका 9 पॉइंट समथिंग का CGPA स्कोर आएगा. लेकिन मैं ये कहना चाह रहा था कि when I was talking to her, because he was worried, her parents were worried कि after BSc what would she do, like that he was suggesting him that he go to some foreign university to do your PG courses and all. उसने जैम दिया है, IIT जैम दिया है और दूसरे एग्जाम्स भी दिए थे. यहाँ पे कुछ चीज उसने एग्जाम्स छोड़ दिए थे. When I was talking to her, she was telling me that I did some lab work, though it was online चल रहा था सब कुछ, but there were some experiments which were performed online and we had assisted in some simulations में हमने assist किया, but I have not performed anything in lab, in real lab. तो ये, and she said I do not have any publication also. That means the girl was doing BSc and she knows what publication is. What you all know about the publication? Now can anybody tell me what exactly, क्या आप लोगों को publication के बारे में ये चीजें मालूम थी?
No, sir.
तो ये चीज मालूम होनी चाहिए. Being a science student, you should know it right from this time. Graduation से आपको मालूम होना चाहिए. Though you might be needing it in your PG. हमारे यहाँ पे नागपुर में PG में भी लोग पब्लिश नहीं करते हैं. PhD होने के बाद भी लोग पब्लिश नहीं करते हैं. And that's for the sake of getting a degree they do it. But you need to indulge yourself. You need to know these things. You need to know these things. And once this things are known, that your further studies, your higher education becomes more easy. 2 minutes. 1 second, I have one guest. Sorry guys, it was a long gap. नहीं आप लोग बात करते तो अच्छा लगा था. What were you discussing?
About that
That's the
issue.
topic. So that, yeah, link one issue.
Which one?
The link is not opening
That
no of
link.
mine, so they told me to update my app once.
Okay, मैं अभी आप लोगों से ना वो डिस्कशन सुनना चाहता हूँ आप लोगों का जो हमने बात किया था कि यूकैरियोट्स हैव एसोसिएशन विद प्रोकैरियोट्स. Put up your cameras and start talking. Yeah, Amar, start. अरे सब भग गए, कोई है ही नहीं. क्या मेरा पूरा
सर बस मैं आकांक्षा एंड फाल्गुनी है अभी.
बाकी सब कहाँ गए? चलो बंद.
Don't know, sir.
पता नहीं.
तो आज एंड कर दें फिर सेशन.
सर पता नहीं लाइक कोई इंटरेक्ट नहीं करना चाहता. पता नहीं हर क्लास में ऐसा ही है.
हर क्लास में ऐसे ही होता है.
Because you don't want to do anything in life.
चलिए आप लोग कुछ बोलना चाहते हैं तो बोलिए.
I am sorry to interrupt you, but
हमारे वाइस
I am
प्रिंसिपल.
also नहीं वाइस प्रिंसिपल छोड़ दो. यहाँ पे I am not a vice principal. I am just a teacher. बेटा इतना ध्यान में रखना. Let me open my mouth like this. Okay, so one thing you must remember. Every time we students, what we do, we put some lame excuses. Pata nahi sir, that student is not there. I am not there. She is not there. But you are there now. So you have to learn. इतना ध्यान में रखना. तुमको पढ़ना है बेटा. जिंदगी में अगर आगे बढ़ना है, देखो हमको गधों के साथ में ही काम करना है, घोड़ों को. Because in India there is no segregation kind of thing. There is no partition that these donkeys and these horses should be kept separately. So we have to go with them, but we have to maintain our identity. So please remember, ये के बुड्ढे टीचर के एक्सपीरियंस से मैं बता रहा हूँ. So you have to maintain your identity. You have to always remind yourself that I am different. I am not donkey. I am a horse. कोई अगर I have one student because I am faculty in physics. So I have one student. He always come in my laboratory, sit there alone. Everybody laugh at him. But one day it will come that he will laugh at other people. So be different. Thank you. I'm sorry, Agar, if I hurt your emotions.
No sir.
Thank you,
No sir.
Revakar sir.
Yeah, please.
तो ये मालूम है हमारे वाइस प्रिंसिपल. आप लोग मालूम है कि नहीं मालूम है?
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir,
I
pata hai.
know him.
हाँ सर.
He is Dr. Revatkar from
I
physics
actually
department.
visited his house also. He actually knows my father.
What is your name?
Falguni Chitmalwar, sir.
Oh my, wow. तेरा बाप मेरा दोस्त है.
Yeah, I know it.
Okay, so we'll put a end to this session, today's session. We'll meet
Okay,
on
sir.
Saturday. Okay.
Okay sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
sir.
much.
Thank you,
Thank you sir.
Thank you.